Hi everyone, welcome to the Timeform and Sporting Live racing preview for Saturday, January the 25th, and it's Festival Trials Day at Cheltenham, always a day to look forward to in the calendar. We're going to go through the card with Matt Brocklebank and Andy McLaren, and it's a big day, Matt. There's some stars on show at Cheltenham on Saturday.
Yeah, always a big day, isn't it, when we see Constitution Hill in action, L'Homme Presse, as you say. I know the competition could be stiffer for both of those. I'm not sure they're kind of horses that I'm going to be looking to take on. They're going to be very popular, aren't they? But Constitution Hill, what's he got? A bit of a penalty kick. He's 1 to 15, 1 to 10. He's going to be a very short price, isn't he? He just has to sort of get around and put the final touches to his preparation for the festival. And earlier on the card, we've got East India Dock. Now, he's already second favourite, 6 to 1 for the JCB Triumph Hurdle at the festival. And he's looking to, again, rubber stamp his claims. He looks a really smart prospect, a good young hurdler. And on Trials Day, we tend to see a festival winner, don't we, Scoop? At least one.
We do, yeah. It's been a fantastic day down the years for finding festival winners. I think it's 23 in the last decade that Festival Trials Day has thrown up. Andy Matt's talked about some of the big guns running there. We've got L'Homme Presse in the Cotswold Chase, of course Constitution Hill, and Potter's Charm as well in the Novice Hurdle that ends the card. Is there a multiple to be had?
I think that will be a very popular multiple wanted Scoop, and you could easily even throw in East India Dock in there for the fourfold as well. I think that pays about 6 to 1. And you know, it's not the type of bet I'll be having, but I couldn't put anyone off it. I think there's a very good chance it'll come in. East India Dock looked really good last time, didn't we? He ran to a higher level there than what his stablemate Burdett Road did and win in the same race last year. So he's already at a really high level. L'Homme Presse, we were speaking about him off camera. I actually think he's a good price at even money. I think there's a bit of value in that. He's much better than these. He's getting weight off most of them. 4th in the Gold Cup, 3rd in the King George. It's much better than everything else he's up against there. Constitution Hill should win. And then Potter's Charm's probably the trickiest leg of the last, trying to give a bit of weight to some fellow unexposed novices. But yeah, couldn't put anyone off it, to be honest.
Yeah, we should mention the ground at the top of the show. We've had 11 mils of rain on Friday at Cheltenham. But with a drying wind, it could well be verging towards good to soft on Saturday.
No excuses, Scoop. Perfect. No excuses ground for Trials Day. I suppose with East India Dock, very briefly, and the juvenile race, there's a lot of unknowns in that race. There's a couple of big money purchases as well taking him on.
Absolutely right. We're going to have a look at a few of the handicaps, starting with the first race, the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase at 12:40. This is always a good race with the festival in mind, thrown up loads of festival winners over the years, and we're going to get the Timeform ratings graphic on screen now. And you can see that top of the shop is the Oliver Greenall and Josh Guerrero pair, Jaguar and Billy, the Real Big Red. What do we think about these two, Andy?
Yeah, it's the race that stops an office, isn't it, Scoop, the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase?
It stops this office.
It does, yeah, it does. Like you were saying there about Trials Day throwing up plenty of future festival winners. This race in particular, 3 of the last 6 winners of the Timeform Novices Handicap Chase have followed up the festival, with 2 of those going on to finish second as well. And it's not just the horses that win. It's last year's renewal, That's All Right Gino. He didn't follow up at the festival but won the Old Hennessy. Unexpected Party was 4th. He went on to win the Grand Annual. Imperial Aura was second behind Simply the Bets, going back a few years. He won the now restored Novices Handicap Chase. So a race to follow regardless of what happens. And like you say, the Guerrero pair seem to hold a strong hand here. Them two top of the ratings and top of the betting as well. One in particular has been quite well found in the market, hasn't he, over the last couple of days? I think he opened up.
Billy, the Real Big Red, I think you're talking about.
Yeah, he opened up. I think he was double figures earlier in the week.
He was.
He's been the mover in the market. To be honest,
we've got a video of him now running at Exeter. I wasn't too impressed with his jumping this day. I thought it was a little bit chancy at his fences, and that's not really what you want going to Cheltenham.
I was about to say the same thing about both of that pair, to be honest. I'm willing to take both of them on the head of the market, both for similar reasons. I'm a bit worried about the jumping for both of them. Billy the Big Red, he got low at a few of his fences last time, and they're quite small fences at Exeter. I'm interested to see how he'll take to these bigger fences at Cheltenham. And Jaguar's similar. He can throw in a mistake or two, and I could see him getting caught a bit too far back if he throws in a mistake mid-race.
Okay, let's talk about a few others, Matt. We've got Masaccio at the top of the official ratings. Top weight here for Alan King, who always seems to target Trials Day, whether it be at Cheltenham or Doncaster. And this horse brings Grade 1 form to the table of sorts.
Yeah, he does. He's just behind the sort of Guerrero and Grinnell horses on time form ratings. He's a very solid sort of horse, isn't he? His form's decent. He's been campaigned in those graded races since winning on Chasing debut at Newbury. Personally, I thought he's looked a bit of a non-stayer last time. That was in the Coto Star, the Grade 1 novice chase at Kempton on Boxing Day. So dropping back in distance is probably going to be a positive for him. Look, he's shown promise. He was a good novice hurdler as well. He's got the weight to match, and he could be vulnerable to some of those a bit further down the weights. Softer ground isn't probably going to be a problem for him. I think he's got a fair chance without being an obvious one to be backing it at sort of current prices, I don't think.
Yeah, Alan King said in his Weekender column that he needed the 4th run to get qualified for the Ultima handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival. So he is possibly one to keep an eye on in this race with Cheltenham in mind.
I was thinking similar for Whistle Stop 2 as well for Lucinda Russell. He's another one who I think might be having a spin round here to get him ready for the Ultima, who of course that yard has a bit of history with that race.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at the pace map and we'll try and form some selections. Pace map on screen now, and we have got Billy, the Real Big Red, who we've talked about, looking likely to force the pace here with quite a few just on his tail, the likes of Walking on Air, Guard Your Dreams and Ryan's Rocket. How do you see this playing out, gents?
Yeah, it's, prominent tactics so often crucial around here, aren't there, at Cheltenham? And I'm not quite sure it'll be as simple as that for Billy the Big Red. He probably will go forward, but like you say, I think the likes of...
That was 2 miles, wasn't it, last time?
Yeah.
Stepping up in distance. Might be ridden a bit more restrained.
I think there'll be plenty, if he does go forward, I think there'll be plenty just on his tail as well. The likes of Guard Your Dreams you mentioned, I don't think he'll be far away. I can see him.
Jumping rhythm is just so important as well. And I suppose that's the thing with Jaguar. It's like, he has looked a bit sticky. I mean, just at really crucial time as well. Those downhill fences at Cheltenham, they can be awkward for these novices with very little experience. And I suppose you've mentioned Guard Your Dreams there. He has plenty of experience. Not only, he's got chase runs under the belt, he's mixed in decent company, and obviously he's got all that racing experience from his time over hurdles as well. I think we're both quite keen on him.
Yeah, I think we're all quite keen on him, aren't we? That December Gold Cup form, I thought he ran really well that day. And stepping back into novice company, he looks one that Sam Twiston-Davies can be quite forceful with, really, and go well.
It was Gemiron, Madara, Fugitive. They've got loads of experience in those intermediate distance chases around Cheltenham. He was only having his 4th start over fences. He's run really well. They've got loads of experience into him. And as we know, the Twiston-Davies team, they just can't resist running in these good races at Cheltenham. Now, obviously, over the years, they've actually won the Open, the 2.5 mile handicap chase on the same card, the Open race, a couple of times with novices. So the fact that he's running in this race kind of makes me think that they probably weren't able to win that race, and they're more than happy to just try and go for the novice race. I think he's a big player here, isn't he? Considering he's going to potentially get the race run to suit and put pressure on the jumping of Jaguar and Billy the Real Big Red.
I think they will be a bit more aggressive on him this time. I was just watching back that last run in the December Gold Cup where he came 4th. He was quite prominent there, and it was the front two got the sort of dictated things from the front. I don't think they went overly fast, and they quickened away from him, and he looked a bit outpaced before he stayed on really nicely up the hill again. I think he'd just been a bit more suited by a bit more of a stamina test in that race there. So I think they will really make a bit more use of him here, try and use that stamina and his experience that he's got as well, and put some pressure on the others.
Excellent. So we're all Guard Your Dreams?
Yes.
We have to be, I think, at those prices.
Brilliant. Let's move on. We have briefly spoken about the Betfair Exchange handicap chase, the 150, the Open race over the same course and distance, and this looks a really good lineup. I like this. We'll get the time form ratings on screen, and we'll see that Ginny's Destiny, a Cheltenham specialist, if you will, is top of the ratings on 165. Andy McLaren.
He is, yeah. He's been dropped a few pounds from. Remember, he got sent off 3-1 favourite for the big handicap here in November. He's rated 155 there. He's down to 152 now after a couple of pretty disappointing runs this season, but I think there's excuses. But you can make excuses for these 2 runs this season, and he's got everything in his favour on Saturday. I think if he's going to bounce back, this is when he's going to do it. Back at Cheltenham, back on some nicer ground, with 2 runs under his belt now, so no worries on the fitness side of things. Iroko just behind him on 163p. Still got that potential, but they've been quite clear with him that he's a Grand National project, isn't he? So I'd be willing to look past him in this at that sort of price. Imperial Saint's the interesting one, isn't he? Just behind them. He had the option of running the Novices handicap chase earlier on the card, and they've pitched him in here at the deep end. Is that fair to say? Is it the deep end? I'm not sure if it is. I think it is.
It's the deep end.
Valuable race, isn't it? What did you make of his last run at entry? We couldn't see any bit, could we? We saw the sort of
Looked
final.
good, yeah.
Well,
Look
Richmond Lake franked it of sorts, I thought, with a good run at Haydock.
Yeah, I thought you were
last
going to say
weekend.
that the Aintree pea soup form was working out well because that backed that Uncle Bert the other week, which ran on the same card, I think. So
Yeah,
he's a big player,
form.
though. He looks an improving novice with some really solid form in the book.
He's the one who probably could have quite a few pounds in hand of his handicap mark. The one niggling concern with him is that
Cheltenham.
he's so effective around Aintree. He's right, three goals at Aintree over fences, and he's won them all. He's been so effective around there, that the tight turns there and the flat track there. It's whether he can
That was on my mind.
emulate that at Cheltenham, which is such a different track, isn't it?
He's not the only novice in this field, which leads me to
Moondorange. You wanted to
Moondorange.
mention him.
big time.
Off you go.
Bet of the day. Can I say that?
You can.
I think he's fascinating. Yeah, down at the bottom of the weights. Got a lot of time for trainer John McConnell. He does really well, particularly away from the festival. His record at Cheltenham over the years, not in March, not at the Cheltenham Festival, 10 from 47. That's a really strong 20+% strike rate. You're in profit if you're backing all those horses. This horse actually was with McConnell originally, and then he had a couple of runs for Fergal O'Brien last season. Now he's back with John McConnell, and I love the way he's campaigned this horse. He ran him over 2 miles behind some classy sorts in Ireland, Facile Mode, and the other one of Gordon Elliott's that's won a Grade 2 subsequently. That's name just escapes me at the minute. And then he's run him a couple of times over 3 miles at Cheltenham. And then it was the extended 2 mile 6 last time at Newbury, and he ran another really nice race. He was second to In the Waterside, really well regarded, progressive sort of Paul Nicholls. And Moondorange, go back and look at every single one of his chase runs so far. He has measured his fences beautifully. Honestly, this horse has taken to novice chasing really, really well, and he hasn't won yet. And yet I think all along they've been plotting towards a really nice handicap over 2.5 miles. I think 3 miles might just stretch him, but he ran well. He's got Cheltenham experience under his belt. I absolutely love the fact as well that McConnell, who teamed up with Sean Bowen for all those winners at Perth up and down over the years, he's back. He's got Sean Bowen in the saddle for the first time for this big day. I really like that. McConnell and Sean Bowen, I think they're 0 from 3 so far this season, but last season they had 7 times they teamed up, 2 winners, a second and 3 thirds. I think he means business, the fact he's got Bowen. Bowen's
Fancy
riding
this one,
out of
don't
his
you?
skin.
I can tell.
It's quite hard to sort of get it all out, Scoot. I think everything might just fall into place for Moondorange. Should we just say I make him about a 7-1 shot, and at the minute he's 10s and 12s.
Okay, I've got a headline for you. Value bet, shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon.
Okay,
Yeah.
we've got one video clue for this race. Let's have a quick look at it. It's Some Scope, running at Wetherby last time out. Now, he usually runs over further than this trip, 3 mile, perhaps a stayer. But looking, it could be a strong pace. It might just suit him.
It might. It'll annoy me if he beats Moondorange. I do like this horse, I'll be honest. I was with him when he won that race. It seemed like a bit of a plan, Richard Hobson. The thing that nags with me a little bit is the Cheltenham thing. I know it's kind of down the road for this trainer, and he probably can't resist running for a nice prize here. And he has finished 4th in a handicap chase at Cheltenham before in like the April meeting, but I don't think he's great on the undulations. Personally, I think his jumping suffers a little bit. So I'm against him reluctantly because he's only gone up £4 for winning pretty cosily at Wetherby. I thought he did it really nicely that day. He travelled and he jumped. Maybe as a young horse, 7-year-old, maybe he's getting a stride quicker. And he's 10-12-1 as well. But I'd prefer the Irish horse.
It's interesting. Andy, have you've got a selection in the race?
I mentioned him earlier. Yeah, I'm quite keen on Ginny's Destiny in this. I think he'll bounce back here.
Ginny's Destiny for Andy McLaren. Okay, we're going to finish with a quick look at the Betfair Cleeve Hurdle at 3:35. This has, again, been a fantastic trial for Cheltenham over the years, not just for the Stayers Hurdle, but for handicap chases as well. So maybe look out for the also-rans in behind, the likes of Transmission for Neil Mulholland. But we'll get the time form ratings on screen, and we will see that Crambo is on 166 here, Andy. And after his second win at Ascot in December, he looks perhaps the most important horse in this race with a view to March.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It's a tricky division to get a handle on this, isn't it? Everything just seems to be everything. I can't seem to work it out. I mean, even Crambo's his win at Ascot last time where he beat Hidden Valley Lake, that horse went off, what was it, 7-4 for the Galmoy Hurdle earlier in the week and finished, 7th of 8 finishes. Blue Kangaroo was down the field that day as well. He's been beaten at Windsor since, so it's hard to get a grasp on what that form was like. Strong Leader was pulled up in behind. He's had a wind up Not sure how I feel about a mid-season wind-up, to be honest. I don't mind seeing them at the start of the season after a break. Not a fan of seeing it mid-season like that. There's obviously been an issue with that. He'll appreciate the ground drying out if it does. I think Gowell Road's probably the interesting one, getting weight off them too at the top of the weights.
Tactically, perhaps, as well.
There's the tactical angle. I mean, he's so consistent, isn't he? He's ran at Cheltenham. His last, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. His last 4 runs at Cheltenham, all being second. Really close second to up-and-coming steer and lucky place in the Relkeel hurdle last time, where he was staying on again at the end after being headed, looking like he'll appreciate stepping back up in distance. Like I say, he's getting £6 off Cranbourne, strong leader, and we haven't got the pace map available for this one, but I can't see anything else to take him on for the lead. I don't know if you agree with that,
Okay,
Matt.
Gal Road, perhaps, for Andy McLaren. Matt, strong leader, briefly mentioned there by Andy. He, on his Aintree form last April, he's a player in this division, but
he's not one
I've not really seen it again, have we?
No, I've never warmed to the horse. I don't think he's beaten a huge heap yet, Scoop. When he won at Aintree, I thought there was quite a lot of them in behind that were over the top at that stage. And nothing he's done this season has really taken my fancy at all. There is a bit of a wild one in here.
I think I know who you're going to say.
Kerry Hill?
Yeah.
Mid-season wind-up, I think. Yeah, I think he's had a breathing operation because he pulled up at Haydock on his comeback. That was in the Betfair Stayers handicap hurdle. 3 miles soft ground at Haydock, not his bag at all. I think he likes a better surface. I'd like to see it drying out a little bit more for him. Look, he's a massive price. Last year, he has a bit of fun with Moon d'Orange. I'm not obsessed with this horse, but he ran in that same Grade 2 Albert Bartlett trial last season, and he ran pretty well. He ran better than the bare form, and I just think he's a bit of a lurker. He's still a horse that we're just scratching the surface with. Trained by Ruth Jefferson. Bonus point, Scoop. Anyone? Can you name the last Northern trained Cleeve winner? 66 to 1 shot as well. Going back a few years now.
Was it Nakarabo?
You've nailed it. It was Nakarabo, George Charlton.
That's right.
I wonder if Kerry Hill might be able to do a bit of a Nakarabo, although he was an 11-year-old that had been around the block a bit. But this is a fascinating younger horse.
Great stuff.
Another one to note in this race as well, not so much for this race, but we mentioned about this meeting throwing up future festival winners. Transmission's an interesting runner here, isn't he? Clearly, this isn't his target.
Hunt chase,
I think they're aiming for the national lunch chase for him, and this is a really interesting little prep run for him with an eye on the national lunch race, now a handicap.
Neil Mulholland, of course, ran the Droid's nephew in this race before he won the Ultima, I think.
Yeah, I think he's an interesting one to keep an eye on Saturday with March in mind anyway.
Definitely. Finally, best bet of trials day in one word.
We all agreed on Guide Your Dreams, didn't we? I think it's hard
Guide Your Dreams for you, and it's got to be
Moon
shooting for the
d'Orange.
moon. Moon d'Orange, great stuff. Enjoyed that, lads. Enjoy Festival Trials Day at Cheltenham. Great to see a busy Saturday on the horizon, and we shall see you again soon.